Suffering touches every human life like rain touches every field. It comes in countless forms: the ache of loss, the burn of disappointment, the weight of illness, the sting of betrayal. Yet within Nichiren Buddhism lies a profound understanding that transforms our entire relationship with suffering. Rather than viewing it as punishment or meaningless pain, this ancient wisdom reveals suffering as a doorway to our deepest potential, a catalyst for the most extraordinary transformation possible. The Buddha himself recognized this truth when he declared that life contains suffering as its first noble truth. But Nichiren Daishonin went further, teaching that suffering is not our enemy to defeat, but our teacher to embrace. In his writings, he states, "When we examine the nature of life, we find that suffering and joy are like summer and winter. Neither summer nor winter remain forever. Both are part of the natural cycle." This perspective shifts everything. Suffering becomes not a flaw in existence, but an essential element of our spiritual evolution. Every person walking this earth carries burdens. The businessman stressed about his failing company, the mother worried about her rebellious teenager, the student overwhelmed by expectations, the elderly person facing loneliness, all experience the universal nature of suffering. Nichiren Buddhism acknowledges this reality without sugarcoating or denial. The Lotus Sutra teaches that all beings in the 6 paths of existence experience various forms of suffering, from the obvious pain in the hell realm to the subtle dissatisfaction even in heavenly states. This recognition brings immediate relief because it reminds us that our struggles do not isolate us, but connect us to every other human being. Understanding suffering's universality dissolves the toxic shame that often accompanies our pain. When depression strikes, we no longer think, "What's wrong with me?" Instead, we recognize, this is part of being human. When relationships crumble, we don't conclude we're unlovable, but understand that impermanence affects all connections. This shift from personal failure to universal experience opens space for compassion rather than self-criticism. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, "Life is like a dream. One should not suffer over a dream." This doesn't minimize our pain, but places it in proper perspective as temporary experiences within our eternal Buddha nature. The roots of suffering run deep into the soil of attachment. We suffer because we cling to things as if they were permanent when everything in existence flows like water. We attach to our youth, our health, our relationships, our achievements, our images of how life should unfold. When reality doesn't match our attachments, suffering blooms like weeds after rain. The businessman suffers not just from financial loss, but from his attachment to success. The mother suffers not just from her child's choices, but from her attachment to control. The student suffers not just from academic pressure, but from attachment to others. Approval. Nichiren Daishonin explained this clearly. The heart of the Buddha's lifetime of teachings is the Lotus Sutra, and the heart of the practice of the Lotus Sutra is found in the title Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Why does chanting this title transform suffering rooted in attachment? Because it connects us to the mystic law that governs all existence. The law that teaches us everything changes, everything is interconnected, and everything possesses Buddha nature. When we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, we align ourselves with this fundamental rhythm of the universe. Our tight grip on temporary things gradually loosens as we recognize our connection to something eternal and unshakable. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent or cold toward life. Instead, it means loving deeply while holding lightly. We can care passionately about our relationships while accepting their impermanent nature. We can work diligently toward goals while releasing attachment to specific outcomes. We can feel grief over losses while trusting in life's larger patterns. The Lotus Sutra teaches that even while experiencing the sufferings of birth, aging, sickness, and death, we can simultaneously manifest our Buddha nature and find joy in each moment. The most revolutionary teaching in Nichiren Buddhism concerns suffering's potential for transformation. Other approaches might seek to eliminate suffering or simply endure it, but Nichiren's Buddhism teaches us to transform it into fuel for enlightenment. Like coal transformed into diamonds under pressure, our deepest struggles can become our greatest sources of wisdom and compassion. This process happens through what Nichiren called changing poison into medicine. Consider how this transformation works. A person facing serious illness might initially feel only fear and despair, but through Buddhist practice, that same illness becomes an opportunity to develop profound empathy for others who suffer, to appreciate life's preciousness more deeply, to discover inner strength they never knew existed, and to connect with the Buddha nature that transcends physical limitations. The illness remains factually the same, but its meaning and impact transform completely. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, "If you are of the same mind as Nichiren, you must be a bodhisattva of the earth." This means that through practice, we develop the same spirit that can transform any circumstance into an opportunity for growth. This transformation requires active engagement with our Buddha nature through consistent practice. When we chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo regularly, study Buddhist teachings, and share this philosophy with others, we develop what might be called suffering immunity, not the absence of difficulties, but the unshakable confidence that any challenge can become a source of benefit. We begin to see obstacles as opportunities, setbacks as setups for comebacks, and even tragedies as chances to demonstrate the invincible nature of our Buddha nature. The process often unfolds gradually. First, we might notice that we recover from disappointments more quickly. Then we observe that we can maintain our life condition even during difficult periods. Eventually, we discover that we can actually feel grateful for challenges because they accelerate our spiritual development. This doesn't mean we seek out suffering or pretend to enjoy pain, but we develop an unshakable trust that everything in our lives can contribute to our enlightenment and our ability to help others. Real transformation through suffering requires tremendous courage. It's easier to remain victims of circumstances than to take responsibility for creating value from whatever happens to us. Nichiren Daishonin demonstrated this courage throughout his life, transforming persecution, exile, and constant threats into opportunities to strengthen his faith and spread Buddhism more widely. He wrote, "A sword will be useless in the hands of a coward. The mighty sword of the Lotus Sutra must be wielded by one courageous in faith. This courage doesn't eliminate fear but acts in spite of fear, choosing growth over comfort, truth over convenience." Compassion forms the heart of the Nichiren Buddhist approach to suffering. As we transform our own pain into wisdom, we naturally develop deeper empathy for others who struggle. We understand from direct experience that everyone fights battles others cannot see, that behind every harsh word lies someone's unhealed wound, that criticism often masks someone's insecurity. This understanding births genuine compassion, not pity that looks down on others, but empathy that recognizes our shared humanity. The Lotus Sutra teaches that all beings possess Buddha nature equally, regardless of their current circumstances or behaviors. This means the person who causes us pain has the same enlightened potential we do. They may be expressing it through temporarily distorted means, but their essential nature remains perfect and pure. When we truly grasp this teaching, it becomes impossible to hate anyone completely. We can oppose harmful behaviors while maintaining compassion for the people behind those behaviors. This compassion extends beyond individual relationships to embrace all of society. Nichiren Buddhism teaches that individual enlightenment and social transformation are inseparable. As we develop through our personal struggles, we naturally want to create a world with less suffering for everyone. We become active in reducing others, pain not from guilt or obligation, but from genuine care born from our own healing journey. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, "If you want to understand what will happen to you in the future, look at your present conditions. If you want to understand your present, look at your past actions." This principle applies collectively. The suffering in our world reflects humanity's past actions, and our present responses to suffering create the future for all beings. Developing this broader compassion requires expanding our identity beyond our personal concerns. Through Buddhist practice, we begin to see ourselves not as isolated individuals, but as integral parts of the web of existence. When others suffer, part of us suffers. When others find happiness, part of us rejoices. This isn't mere philosophy, but lived reality that emerges through consistent practice. We discover that working for others' benefit naturally benefits us, and that our personal transformation contributes to everyone's enlightenment. The daily practice of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo serves as both prevention and cure for suffering. Like physical exercise that strengthens the body before illness strikes, regular chanting develops our life condition before major challenges arise. But it also works immediately during crisis, like medicine taken when symptoms appear. Many practitioners report that even during their worst moments, chanting brings them back to their center, reminds them of their Buddha nature, and provides strength to continue. This practice works because it connects us to the fundamental rhythm of existence itself. Nam-myoho Renge-kyo represents the mystic law that governs all phenomena, birth and death, cause and effect, the constant flow of change that characterizes reality. When we chant, we align ourselves with this law rather than fighting against it. We stop swimming upstream and begin flowing with life's current, finding that even rapids and waterfalls become opportunities for exhilaration rather than just danger. The Lotus Sutra explains that this law operates in all beings and all circumstances without exception. Whether we recognize it or not, whether we cooperate with it or resist it, this mystic law continues working for our ultimate benefit. But when we consciously align with it through practice, we accelerate our growth and increase our ability to help others do the same. Suffering that once seemed meaningless reveals its purpose as a teacher guiding us toward greater wisdom and compassion. True acceptance of suffering doesn't mean passive resignation. In Nichiren Buddhism, acceptance means acknowledging what is while simultaneously working to create what could be. We accept that we currently face certain challenges while chanting and acting to transform those challenges into sources of growth. We accept that others behave in harmful ways while working to awaken their Buddha nature. We accept that society contains injustice while dedicating ourselves to creating a more compassionate world. This dynamic acceptance requires what Nichiren called faith, practice, and study. Faith gives us confidence that transformation is possible even when we cannot yet see how. Practice provides the daily actions that gradually change our life condition and circumstances. Study deepens our understanding of how these principles work and strengthens our determination to continue even when results seem slow. Together, these three elements create an unshakable foundation for transforming any form of suffering into enlightenment. The promise of Nichiren Buddhism is both simple and profound. No suffering is meaningless. No pain is wasted. No struggle is purely destructive. Every challenge contains seeds of wisdom. Every loss opens space for something new. Every ending enables a fresh beginning. This doesn't minimize the reality of pain or suggest that suffering is enjoyable, but it reveals suffering's hidden gift, its power to awaken us to our deepest potential and connect us more intimately with all life. Through this understanding, we develop what might be called spiritual fearlessness, not the absence of fear, but the confidence that we can transform any experience into fuel for our growth and service to others. We stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "How can this help me become more enlightened?" We stop demanding that life be easy and start appreciating life's constant opportunities for development. We stop seeing ourselves as victims of circumstances and start recognizing ourselves as co-creators of our destiny. This transformation of perspective changes everything. The same events that once seemed to prove life's cruelty now demonstrate life's wisdom. The same people who once appeared to be our enemies now seem to be our teachers in disguise. The same circumstances that once felt like punishments now feel like precisely what we need for our next level of growth. Suffering doesn't disappear from life, but its sting is drawn, its terror is tamed, and its gifts are received with gratitude. Nichiren Buddhism reveals suffering as one of life's greatest teachers, demanding our attention, challenging our assumptions, and forcing us to discover resources we never knew we possessed. Through this ancient wisdom, we learn to dance with difficulty rather than fight it, to find meaning in pain rather than just endure it, and to use every experience as raw material for creating a life of profound purpose and unshakable joy.